Hi everyone. So, I don't know if this is working or not. I got a new mic because, some of you kept saying that I sounded too quiet. So, we got a mic, okay? So, it's, National Indigenous Peoples Day today, and, well, I guess when you guys are watching this, and, National Indigenous Peoples Day is a day that recognizes and celebrates the cultures and contributes and contributions of the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities, or I guess Indigenous people of Canada. The first time Indigenous Peoples Day was celebrated was in 1996, and June 21st was the chosen day because it had a lot of cultural significance to many Indigenous people because they would celebrate their heritage on that day. In 2001, members of the 14th Legislative Assembly passed the National Aboriginal Day Act, making the Northwest Territories the first jurisdiction in Canada to recognize National Indigenous Peoples Day as a formal statutory holiday. I'm really sorry if I look like ass right now or I sound like ass, which is probably both. My allergies hate me right now, and it probably looks like I'm crying too. Even though Indigenous Peoples Day in Canada is just a national holiday and it's not a holiday. It's a holiday for Indigenous people, but it's not like a statutory holiday, I'm pretty sure. It's also celebrated in the United States on the second Monday of October. Also, International Day of the Indigenous Peoples is on August 9th of every year to raise awareness and protect the rights of the world's indigenous population. Now to the part that is not research-based. All of that I compiled from Wikipedia. I know we're not supposed to use Wikipedia, but I used it, and if any of the information is wrong, please tell me. I apologize. So, in the past year, I have found out that I am Métis. Métis are a distinct Indigenous people with a unique culture, history, language, and territory that includes the waterways of Ontario and surrounds the Great Lakes. The Métis Nation is comprised of descendants of people born of relations between people who are Indigenous Indigenous women and European men. The genesis of a new Indigenous people called the Métis resulted from the marriages between these people, and one of those was me. Yeah, my mom was Métis. I only found out in the past year that I am Métis, and I thought it would be perfect to make a video about National Indigenous Peoples Day because there needs to be more awareness and just information out there. Even though I just got most of the start of the video from Wikipedia, it's still information that people need to know. I would like to take this time to talk about some of the problems in Indigenous communities right now, one of them being a lack of clean water in Indigenous communities. Next information that I'm going to be talking about I did get from a specific Instagram account called the Indigenous Foundation, so if you guys would like to look them up, follow them, I'll have their on the screen somewhere, and I'll have them in the comments and the description, but they are a really cool Instagram account and you guys should check them out. So, Canada possesses the world's third largest freshwater reserves. However, there is still 618 First Nations communities that are not supplied with safe drinking water still. There's also the big issue of violence against Indigenous women, cultural appropriation as a whole, work barriers for Indigenous people, like it's difficult for them to find employment, a lack of media representation. I can say that I've seen that, and the other ones as well, but a lack of media representation. I feel like I barely have seen anybody who's Indigenous in the media. The historical, generational trauma that they go through on an everyday basis, and the missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and two-spirited people who we might never know what happens to them, and it's really horrible because probably to them it feels like that nobody cares because nobody's talking about it. I would like to as well talk about how you can be an ally to Indigenous people, and the information I'm talking about as well I did get from the Indigenous Foundation Instagram account. I'm going to try and record this without my phone dying. It's at 10%, so I'm going to be talking about I think 10 to 15 ways that you can be an ally to Indigenous people, and they're very easy. So yeah, number one would be listen to the voices of Indigenous people. Number two would be educate yourself on the issues. You know, you're watching this video right now, pretty good, but also do your own research. See what Indigenous people deal with on a daily basis. Alright, so the pop filter has fallen off my desk, and so I'm just gonna hold it because I'm done trying to figure out how to get this thing to stop falling off the desk. It's a really shitty pop filter. Number three, use your platform and don't be silent on the issues that they face. If you see discrimination happening, if you see like your family member say something like that's out of line, say something. But as well, on the other hand, don't be a performative ally. That's number four. Don't just repost things on your Instagram and just think that your job is done. Really figure out if you're just posting things for your own benefit, or if you're actually trying to help people, or if it's just to make your ego look better. Number five, if you do have the financial stability to do so, you can donate to Indigenous people. The Instagram account, the Indigenous Foundation, talked about 3 places where you can donate, which is the Native Women's Association of Canada, Rising Hearts, and Legacy of Hope Foundation. And as well, as I said, follow the Indigenous Foundation. Number 6, don't do anything that would be cultural appropriation, alright? I think sadly I have done this in the past and I didn't even realize, because I was a kid. But cultural appropriation means taking an element of a specific culture for your own use. Cultural appreciation is when someone seeks to understand and learn about another culture in an effort to broaden their perspective and connect with others cross-culturally. Things like don't bring dream catchers into your home if you're not Indigenous, don't wear a headdress, don't wear, like I guess what I did when I was younger, don't wear those stupid Halloween costumes. Number 7, stop using the term powwow when referring to a meeting. I didn't even know that this was an Indigenous term. I guess I heard the word powwow in the past, but I didn't realize that I never used it because I didn't really even know what it meant. But I've heard people use it to refer to as a meeting, and I swear, I went through 2 phones. I used my phone, I used Oliver's phone, and then Oliver's phone decided that it didn't have any storage. A powwow is not just a meeting, it is more of a traditional celebration from what I have read online. Stop referring to people as chief. Calling an Indigenous person chief is extremely offensive and unacceptable. The word chief is an honorable title for many Indigenous communities. Number 9, stop calling Indigenous people Indian. It annoys me, even when I wasn't a part of the Métis, or I guess when I didn't even realize that I was. Some Indigenous people do use the term Indian to just kind of claim it back. You know how a lot of gay people use faggot, like I do. If you're not Indigenous, don't say Indian. Stop using the word. Alright, number 10, don't ask Indigenous people what percentage of Indigenous they are. If you don't understand why, I don't really know how to explain it to you, really. Number 11, don't use the term spirit animal. I know I've used this term in the past when I didn't know that I was Métis, and I apologize for that. Number 12, stop saying that what happened to Indigenous people is in the past, because Indigenous communities around the world still suffer from the generational trauma that they've been through on a daily basis. Number 13, don't call Indigenous people exotic. And number 14, I brought it up before, but don't wear them as Halloween costumes or outfits. Thanks. Alright, so, I hope you guys like this video. Please give it a thumbs up, and, comment down below what you guys want to see next. If there's anything that I can improve on this, I know I don't sound the best right now, even though the microphone quality is probably a lot better. I know I don't sound the best because I can literally feel my ears, and it's really, painful, and I can barely speak. So, and I've sneezed about 20 times in this video. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.